Hey everybody, Tom here, and today I want to teach you how to set up Teotihuacan. I think I got that pronunciation right. Fingers crossed. All right, we're gonna set this thing up. Let's start by, there's a lot to talk about, so let's start by taking off the lid. First of all, look at that artwork. That is a pretty, very pretty cover. So, there, I've said it. Okay, next. Rule book. I usually just give a couple of quick thoughts on the rule book. I don't know if it's my summertime brain, but I struggled with the Res Arcana rule book, and I struggled with this rule book as well. I mean, part of it is this is kind of a complicated game, but it was okay. I had to play it to figure it out, and I was referencing the rule book a lot. But something I'm going to also point out is that this setup is 8 pages long. The first 8 pages are all how to set up the game. You know, there's pictures and stuff, but there's a lot going on in there. So, rule book, so-so. All right, what I'm going to do, first of all, is take out the main board. This is a big one. This is six pieces, so that's a big one. But as I take off this, I want to talk about how I'm storing some stuff. This game is, like I said, it's kind of complicated. It has a lot of different pieces, and those pieces are all different sizes and dimensions and shapes and sizes of all kinds. And so storing it has been kind of tricky. So as I'm taking stuff out of the box, I just want to show you what I've done, and I've also created some stuff that I will talk about right here. These things are all things that I have created. They didn't come with the game. Okay, this bag looks like it came from the game. It did not. It was just the perfect color, so I grabbed it. I want to talk about this bag in a second. But first thing I want to say is most of my pieces I'm keeping in 2 different Plano boxes. These are kind of perfect for this. There are 5 regular resources in the game, and in this particular Plano box there are 5 compartments, and it fits these perfectly. We've got wood, stone, gold, cocoa, and cocoa with the number 5. So I'm going to be taking these out here. And then there's a whole bunch of different things that we're going to use in the setup of the game, and that's what I'm keeping in this box here. And as I pointed out, these tiles are a certain shape and size that they happen to fit into this Plano box here. So what I did is, just for this video, I kept the Plano box number sticker so you can see this is the 3400 series. I get these at Walmart. I think they're under $2 if I remember correctly. Every time I go to Walmart, I just pick some up. Here are the dimensions in case that's of interest to you, or the barcode, or whatever you want. I just want you to have the information. And now that you have it, I'm going to take this off because it's ugly. Okay, so we have a whole lot of tokens. I'm going to just take those out for a minute. And another type of token, and there's a lot of these are called discovery tiles. These are double-sided. Now, this box is just an index card box that I found in the school supply aisle at Walmart. I think these are 50 cents or $1. They're really cheap, but they're kind of awesome. I use the same box in my Wingspan box to hold the eggs. Anyway, so here's the bag. These tiles are going to come out randomly throughout the game and during setup. And so I've kind of gone back and forth between keeping these tiles in a bag so that I don't have to keep them face down, and keeping them in this box. I actually think I like this box a little bit better because it's perfectly sized to hold the tiles, and even if you shake it, they don't turn upside down, which is the ultimate thing. We just need them to not be, like, we need them to stay face down. And so I think I'm going to stick with this. But it's not a bad idea to just have a dice bag, and you could put all of these tiles in the dice bag and just draw them out as needed. So that's why I have this here. Some other things that we're going to need out of the box, well, I mean everything, but there are some location tiles. Now, if this is your first time playing the game and you want to just play the very basic version of the game without getting too head scratchy, you won't need these. You could just, the locations are pre-printed on the board, but these locations are just going to come out in a random order, just changing up the game a little bit. So we are going to use those in this video. Some other things that we're going to need are, so I'm going to toot my horn for a second. So we're going to need these things called temple tiles. We're going to be building a temple as we go along. And It comes with a big plastic bag. I'm just in a place in my life right now where I can't handle plastic bags. So I'm ignoring them. And I just thought, what a cool way to store this. I sat down and designed this box so that we can just grab the tiles right out of the box, and as we clean up the game, you can shuffle them so that they're ready to go for the next one. So for all of these, sorry, I just bumped the camera, but for all of these things here, I designed them. I have uploaded a PDF to BoardGameGeek.com. I'm going to put a link for that in the description of this video, so you can find the link for the PDF. There are 7 pages, 2 for this, 1 for this, and then 1 for each of these. And yeah, so there's a link down there. And then I've also created a video where I teach you how to make these boxes. In case they're interesting, I'll put a link to that video also in the description down here. And finally, because I've been having so much fun making these kinds of things, I'm going to put a link to a website I just created to share all of my designs from different games that I've made to help make storage and setup and stuff easier. So a link for that is also in the description of this video. If you like those things, please share them around. I don't get anything out of these at this point, so I just want people to have them and to think that I'm cool. So we have these temple tile things, and I'm going to also point out in this design, to help us with the setup, I have put a little setup aid here. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Now, these are more tiles that would not fit into these Plano boxes, so I just made a little box like this. And this has 3 different types of tiles in them. I've labeled it at the top. These are royal tiles, technology tiles, and player order tokens. So I'm just going to take those out as well. And then we have our 4 different player boxes, and these are going to double as player aids. I'm going to show you more about that in a second. But no matter how many players you have, you're going to need some stuff from everybody. So even though we are playing with the blue player and the red player, I'll just throw those over there for now. I'm going to need some dice out of these boxes, so I will pull those out as well. So we're going for an empty box here. Now, with that empty box, let's go ahead and open up this board. Let's see if I'm smart enough. So it goes in half. And then there is a top and a bottom, so I want to make sure it's right for the camera. I think this is the way to go. Yep. And then we will just fold that open. I can tell the top and there's some ways. Mostly I'm looking at these tracks and this over here. So this is going to be facing the camera. It's a big board, but thankfully the player areas, you don't need a lot of space for your player area. You only need enough space to hold stuff that you collect. So we're going to go ahead and set out this big board just like this. Okay, what are we going to need? First things first, like I said, if this is your first game, there are already locations printed on the board. You can just play like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the normal rules, and there are these locations. They all have numbers 2 through 7. There are 8 spots on the board. Space number 1 is up here. Space number 8 is down here. But then there's 2 through 7 on the sides. We never cover 1 or 8. Those stay. But what we're going to do is we're going to take these other locations, give them a quick shuffle, and I'm going to go ahead and lay these locations on the board. And I'll just start here and go in order. So location 5 is going to be here, and I'm going to turn it so that it's camera friendly. And I just happen to know what that is. I'm mostly looking at some numbers and such. But yep. So remember, don't cover number 1. This is board number 6, and that's going to be like that to be camera friendly. And then over here, we're going to make that location 2. It's sideways, so it won't be camera friendly necessarily. I'll do my best to make things look nice. And then we've got this location down here. That's going to become location 7. And then we got this one right here. This is location 3. Wow, I think every location changed, so that's exciting. Okay, and then we've got this one here. Again, I got to kind of decide how I want to do that. On the sideways ones, we'll probably just go like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go 1 tile at a time around the board, and every single one of these locations is going to need stuff on it. Now, if you're sticking with the printed locations, there are times when So like, for example, look at these. Can you see them? Probably not. But these are the same. It's just a new location and they would need a tile. But there are some of the printed locations that have pre-printed, where's a good example? This location over here has pre-printed tiles on there, so you wouldn't need to put a tile on there, but you could see the matching location is empty. So these two locations are the same. That one has pre-printed tiles for your first game. This one does not. And so I just want to point that out, that in your first game, that there's a lot of stuff already done for you that you don't need to set up. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and start up in this corner, and we're just going to work our way around the board at these different locations. Obviously, your locations will be in a different order. So do you know what? With that in mind, let's go in numerical order. So I'm going to hop around the board in numerical order. Let's get them set up. So here's location 1. It's going to be upside down for the camera. Really sorry about that. But one nice thing to point out is, of all of these tiles, they all have different backings, and they're going to match the thing on the board. So these things are pre-printed, and these stay the same no matter what. But we see we need one tile that looks like this. This is actually going to come from the Discovery tiles. And as I mentioned, oh man, some of them, oh, I'm off camera. Some of them did flip, but that's okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and open these up. But for the most part, I just mix those up as I pack them away. I'm going to grab one of these tiles, and it's going to go face up right here. And that's all I need for location 1. You just need one of those tiles there. Here is our sideways location 2. The only thing it's going to need is another one of those tiles face up right there. These are called worship spots or something like, they're like you worship there. And so I'm just going to grab one, and it goes there. That's all that location 2 needs. Same thing for location 3. Again, just make sure these are all the first, like 1, 2, and 3. I think that's it. Maybe 4. I think 4. Yeah, 4 will also get one. These all just get one of these tiles, and they have different fronts, but we just go ahead and put them there. And here's location 4. It's going to get one as well. Here's location number 5. Now, location number 5, you're going to see there's like a top part and a bottom part. You can tell the difference from these small dots here and kind of from these dice symbols. But this is one where it's pre-printed on your first game version, but here it's not. And these are actually some tiles that I have stored in these boxes here, in this box. So I'm going to go ahead and take these out. Sorry, I got my player order tokens. And what we need is, of these, I think there's, how many are these? 8, 9, something like that. Of these tiles, we're just going to mix them up, and we're going to draw 6 at random. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's my 6 tiles. The rest are going to go back in the box. But what we're going to do is we need to look at these tiles, and they all have, like, it's not a reference number, but a small number in the top corner. We need to put those in order from least to greatest. And so we got these. Yes, okay. So we put those in order from least to greatest. And then in reading order, we're going to put these on here. So the smallest number needs to go first, and we're just going to fill this up from left to right on the top row, and then from left to right on the bottom row, like that. And that's location 5. Let's go to location 6. Location 6 is one of those that I like because it doesn't need anything. We can just ignore it. Now location 7 is going to need another one of those Discovery tiles that we were talking about before. You got the matching back there. Flip it over. And there's that. But it's also going to need, these are called decoration tiles. So that's one of those tiles that I've got here. What we're going to need is we're going to need the whole stack of these tiles. Okay. And I'll kind of try to mix them up in my hand, but just know I always mix things up before I put them away because I just like to grab them out of the box and start playing. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take all of these tiles and make a big stack of them. Like this-ish, as best as I can. And sure. And then we're going to just draw 4. It doesn't matter which order they go in at all. We're just going to draw 4 at random and put them here like this. Now we are at location 8. Location 8 is going to need the temple tiles. So let's go ahead and grab these. I have them all set up so that these are the backs, again, shuffled before they came in. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and place 3 tiles here. So I'm just grabbing these out of the box like this. And then let's go ahead and set up the temple. Now, the way that we're going to set up this temple here is dependent on player count. Now, I just want to show you in the rulebook, these are the pictures that they have, and obviously it's doable. But for me and my eyes, it was just kind of hard to see what was going on in those pictures. But basically, as I mentioned earlier on in this box, I have a guide here to help us. So for 2 players, I'm looking at this picture right here. This gray area represents the big board. Here's the temple. And so we have it going the right direction. And then it says down here, the pink spot is no tile. The white spot is a first level tile. And the blue spot is a second level tile. So I'm going to just keep that right there. And I'm just going to start grabbing some tiles and putting them out how I grab them. So we need 6 tiles kind of going like this. And then we need 6 tiles going like this. And then, I'm going to try to make that as pretty as I can without spending an hour on it. And then we need 2 tiles to go on the upper levels, like this one here and one here. Okay, and that's going to leave some space here for the rest of those tiles to be used. I can be done with that. I'm going to move those off. Now you can see on the edges, there's a couple more things that we're going to need to place out here. So what we're going to look for as we open this up is we've got these. Well, can I get them? Hold on. I'm struggling more than I want to. Okay, so we've got these tiles here, and it's kind of hard to see, but these tiles are actually going to go up here. The way you can tell is these icons on the top match these here. So again, printed is just for your basic game. We're going to go ahead and flip some up just like this. Well, actually, if I remember right, printed is fine, but what am I saying? These tiles also, yeah, these tiles need to go down here. I can't remember. You may put tiles there for your first game or not. Yes, you do. Even on your first game, you put those there. Okay. In case you're curious, these red tiles are just for the solo version of the game. Okay, next up, we've got some more of these icons for these tiles here. And there are different numbers here. Oh, can you see? Oh, sorry. Different numbers here for the different player. Let me adjust the camera. Okay, that's better. So different numbers for different player counts. So for a 2-player game, we want 2 tiles here. For a 2-player game here, so this is a 2-player, 3-player, 4-player. So we're going to need 3 tiles on this one. Like that. Order doesn't matter. 2 tiles here. And then 1 tile on this one. Okay, now let's head over to the other side of the temple. Same thing. We see some tiles here. Now this is kind of interesting. Rather than just saying 1 tile, 2 tiles, and 3 tiles, it lists for each player count, but it's the exact same. So we're going to put 1 of these discovery tiles here. We're going to put 2 of them here. And we're going to put 3 of them here. Oops, I grabbed too many. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. Oh, but that's upside down. We'll fix that. Okay, now for the rest of these, I'm just going to put them off camera because we will grab them throughout the gameplay. But also in my Plano box here, we've got a whole bunch of buildings. I think there's like 15 of these buildings. And what we need to do is we want to leave the leftmost 5 spot open, but we're going to go ahead and put these building tiles. In fact, I'm going to lay them like this so it looks better on the camera, but you would probably just stand these up if you were playing like a normal person. Oh, I could spend forever doing this. I'm going to try not to. But we need to put these buildings out like, oh my gosh, what is wrong? Out like this. Can you see why this is 8 pages of setup? This is a lot of stuff going on. there. Something like that. Okay, so again, the big idea here is you need to keep that first 5 space open. Next up, I've got a eclipse tiles. I can't remember, it's the light and the dark. Okay, so we've got these here. The light tile, the light cylinder, what is that? Is always going to go on the 0. And then the dark one is going to either go on the 10, 11, or 12, depending on player count. I wish they would have shown that better on the board. But this is going to be for 2-player, 3 players, and 4 players. So I'm doing a 2-player game. I'm going to put that on the 10. And do you know what? I just realized I'll make sure to annotate. I was totally lying about these. Yes, there are pre-printed ones, but I totally forgot. In my box, I have more tiles. So let me fill those in for spot number 1. So these tiles have a small A, B, or a C on them. And so we just need to randomly pick one of each. So I'm just going to grab one from near the top, one from near the middle, one from near the bottom. I'll make sure that they say A, B, and C on them. And let's see. Yes. So because I've turned things around, I'm going to go ahead and label this one A, this one B, and this one C. Did I do that? Hold on. Yes, C. Okay. Got it. There we go. Are you still with me? Are you overwhelmed yet? Because I was overwhelmed. It took me over an hour to set up my first game with the basic setup. There's more reasons. I'm not even done yet. But I'm saying we have the main board set up. Let me show you what we can get rid of now. We need to keep these tiles. These tiles are going to come out during the game. We need to keep the temple tiles out. So I'm going to keep those somewhere nearby. We're going to need our resources for sure. So keep your resources nearby. But we're going to be done with these tiles that I have in this box for the most part. So let me go ahead and get these tiles back in. We only needed these ones for setup. These are turn order tiles. We just need one for each player that's playing. So I'm going to need the 1 and the 2, and I don't need this any longer. So this can go back in the box, and these tiles can almost go back in the box. I'm actually going to need these starting tiles. And so we're going to need these throughout the game even. So I'm just going to take these ones out, and then these can go back in. But as far as I can see, I think we got the main board set up. I don't know how well you were able to follow along. But again, for me, it's just easiest to go one space at a time. If I wasn't doing this on video, I just would have gone around the board. But I wanted to make sure that we were just going in numerical order to help you out. But that's the main board setup. Now we got to get our player areas set up, and some stuff is going to come back on the board. And as per usual with my games, I'm going to go ahead and just lay out a player color. Now, again, the player area is mostly going to be holding resources. There's hardly anything else that's going to be over here. So, like I said, for me, it would just be nice to be able to represent that. So, as I pointed out, I have my nice little player box. As I mentioned before, I mean, I'm just very not bags right now. These components could very easily be stored in a small plastic bag, no big deal. But as I was thinking about how to record this video and how to teach it to other people, I thought this game could really use a player aid. As I started typing up a player aid, I thought, heck, I could just put that on a component box and no more bags. But not only could you use a plastic bag for these pieces, but I was originally storing those pieces in these geek boxes. I've talked about geek boxes before. I love them. They are the perfect size to hold these things. But like I said, I just wanted to be a little cooler. So made these boxes here. So each player is going to get a couple of things. Let's talk about what's in these boxes. As I mentioned, this box is going to double as a player aid that's just going to sit like that. So each player is going to have a 5 times thing. That's just in case you have enough components that you need to track that you have, 5, like if you shouldn't run out of components. So if you need to, you can track that. You have a player color establisher. Sure, I've got that. That's great. And then each player is going to have 4 dice. And each player is going to have, I think 16, some number of discs. Let's check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, no, 12. 12 discs. Yeah, 12, because it's 6 and 6. Okay, so 6 of these discs are going to hang out here. They're just going to come out as the gameplay goes along. But we're going to need to take 6 dice six discs, and one of the dice over to the main board. And then the rest of these dice we're going to set as a 1 for now. So let's go put these on the board. Oh, and this is player 1, so let's establish that somehow. That's cute. That's really cute. Okay, so let's take these over to the board. And we're going to need to put some discs down. We need one disc on each of these steps of the temple here. We need a disc down here at the bottom of this spot right here. And then we need another disc over here on this football-looking step. This is the temple step. These are like the steps of the dead or something like that. Yes, and then one more disc is, where's my scoring? Oh, scoring starts up here. Sorry, I totally just stuttered. It's been a long time since I've done that. Okay, so start there at a 0. And then we're going to take one of these dice, just one of your dice, set it at a 3, and it needs to go over here on this spot. And that kind of reminds you if you forget, but that needs to be a 3 right there. There are a couple more things we need to do for the blue player, but let's just catch the red player up to that. So same stuff here. We've got our very exciting player aid. Maybe I'll put it on that side this time. Oh, that glare is going to be rough, isn't it? I'll move the light. And we've got our 5 times. We've got our red thing in case we forget. I'm going to need to keep these dice here to 1 for now. Like that. I'm going to need to keep 6 discs over here. And then I need to bring these to the board. Sorry, I'm trying to do this with my one hand because my other hand's supporting my body. Okay, so a 3 there, 1 down here, 1 over here. We need them down at these steps as well. And then our score tracker, like that. And let's give them the second player token, like that. Only if I'm going to match the other one, I guess it would go. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Tom. We got to get this done. Okay, I mentioned before that we have these are starting tiles that look like this. They're kind of green and they're tall. So what we need is each player is going to start with 4 of these tiles. And we're going to start with 4 of those tiles. Let's talk about those tiles in just a second. But yes, so blue player is going to get 4, and the red player is going to get 4. And I'm thinking in my brain, I'm going to not talk about these tiles yet. I want to talk about these tiles as a part of the gameplay. Because essentially, well, what we're going to do is we're going to gain stuff from these tiles for our starting conditions and our initial dice placement. So I just want to use these icons to help teach the game. So if it was a normal game and we were setting up, we would pick 2 of these tiles. Well, if it was a part of setup, you would look in for any of these discovery tokens. You get 1. Then you would pick 2 tiles and you would get all of the things that it starts off with. And then you would pick 3 locations for your dice to start on. So essentially that's what we're going to be talking about in the gameplay video, but for now let's just keep it like that. And if this was your very first game, they don't even, you wouldn't use these because you wouldn't even really know where to start. But in the rule book for your first game, it lists out very specific places to put your dice and very specific things to start with. But where I'm going to pretend like I know what I'm doing, we're going to go this way. So one last thing to do, if you're not playing with 4 players, if you're playing with 4 players, you're set up ready to go. If you're not playing with 4 players, what you need to do is I need you to take 3 dice from the other colors, okay? And these are going to end up on the board, and they're going to kind of move around during the gameplay. So that's why we still have these, even though they're called starting tiles, we kind of need to keep them around because they're going to represent other players not playing in this non-4-player game. So the way this is going to work is for the yellow dice, it does not matter which number these are on. I'll just keep them at 1s so they're less intimidating as we play. But you're going to draw 2 of these tiles and you're going to put the dice. So if you look down here at the numbers, there's 4 numbers. And Assuming there's no duplicates, you would put 1 dice at each location on the first 3 unique numbers. We have duplicate 5s here, so I'm going to be putting 1 die at 5, 1 at 8, and then 1 at 6. So let's get those out there. Oh, here's 8, so we're going to put a die, and you just want to put it in a non-obtrusive, is that a word? Obtrusive? I think that's a word. Place. So we need 5 and 6. So 5 and 6. Can I just make a complaint? They've numbered the corners, and you can kind of see in the ones, yeah, they've numbered the corners. I never look at the bottom of a tile to see the number. I always look at the top. So I really wish they had put the 6, like I wish they had turned the way those numbers were maybe, or I don't know, but I struggle. Okay, so we just took care of the red player. We can move those out of the way. Let's do the same for the black player. So it looks like we're going to go 6, 7, and 2, because those are the first numbers listed. So let's also not intimidate ourselves. Let's put these at 1s so they look less scary. Okay, so I'm going for, what was it, 6, 7, and 2. 6, 7, and what do I want? Where's 2? Oh, 2, duh, 2 is right here. Oh, let's get up higher. 2. Okay, got it. Okay. Believe it or not, we are mostly set up. Like I said, we still need to do starting conditions for the players, but I'm going to use that when I teach the rules for the game. But holy crap, this is one of my longer setup videos. Maybe Cerebria was longer, maybe too many bones, I don't know. But this thing is a doozy. I really hope this video was helpful. I tried to make it as helpful as possible. But yeah. We are set up, ready to go. Thank you for watching. Again, if you're interested in those component boxes, check on the links down in the description of this video. If you'd like to learn how this game is played, there's a link in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later. I'm tired now. I'm actually going to go have lunch. Okay, talk to you later. Goodbye.